Lina Garcia Gordo, a 41-year-old woman, shared her strange story on July 16, 2008, when she felt as if she had awakened in a parallel universe. At first, everything seemed normal, but small differences made her question the reality around her. She noticed that her bed sheets were a different color than before, a minor detail but enough to make her feel uneasy. When she arrived at work, she encountered unfamiliar faces in her office. Even more unsettling, when she reached her workstation, the nameplate on the desk did not have her name. Confused, she checked the company records on her computer, only to find that she was still an employee, but in a different department with a different manager. While her personal documents, such as her credit cards and driver's license, remained unchanged, her professional life had seemingly shifted for no apparent reason. Lina visited a doctor, but all medical tests indicated she was in perfect health. However, the changes in her personal life were even more unsettling. Her relationship with her boyfriend, Augustine, seemed to have never existed. The past 5 months she remembered so clearly appeared to be erased from reality. Eventually, Lina arrived at a startling conclusion. She might have unknowingly stepped into a parallel universe where small but significant aspects of her life had been altered. Unraveling the mystery. Lina Garcia Gordo continued to feel that her life had become increasingly strange after July 16, 2008. It wasn't just small differences. Major events in her life had either disappeared or changed in ways she could not comprehend. One of the most unsettling aspects was her romantic relationship. Lina clearly remembered being in a happy relationship with her boyfriend, Augustine. However, when she tried to contact him, he acted as if he had never met her. Their messages and emails had vanished, and no one in her social circle recalled their relationship ever existing. It was as if her love life had been erased from reality. Her family also seemed different. When she confided in her mother about the changes she had noticed, her mother dismissed it as stress and suggested she take a break. Her friends also had different memories of recent events than she did. When she checked newspapers and work documents, she realized that several major events she remembered had never happened in this reality. Concerned about her mental state, Lina visited a psychologist to determine whether she was experiencing memory problems. However, medical tests confirmed that her memory and cognitive functions were completely normal. There were no signs of brain damage or psychological disorders that could explain the inconsistencies in her memories. After months of searching for answers, Lina came to a terrifying hypothesis. She had somehow stepped into a different reality where certain events in her life had unfolded differently. The changes in her bedding and job were just the tip of the iceberg. Her entire life had transformed beyond her control, living in an unfamiliar reality. Lina Garcia Gordo continued to live in confusion, realizing that her world had changed in ways she could not explain. The differences were not just minor details, they extended into her personal life and career. One of the most unsettling aspects was her workplace. She remembered working in an office with familiar colleagues, but now, while the office remained the same, the people had changed. Her new coworkers treated her as if they had known her for years, yet she had no recollection of them. Projects she had worked on were either altered or completely erased, making her feel like she was living in an unfamiliar reality. Even familiar locations had changed. Some cafes she used to visit no longer existed, while certain streets she clearly remembered seemed to have never been there in this reality. Checking her phone and emails, she found that important messages she distinctly recalled had vanished without a trace. Lina sought help from those around her, but no one believed her. Her family assumed she was simply under too much stress, and her friends thought she was confused or experiencing memory lapses. Even a visit to a psychologist confirmed that her memory and perception were completely intact. Gradually, Lina began to accept a strange but logical conclusion. She might have unknowingly entered a parallel reality where events had unfolded differently. These changes were not mere illusions or hallucinations. They were solid evidence that she was living in a world that wasn't hers. But how had this happened? And was there a way to return to the world she once knew? Lina didn't have the answers, but she was certain of one thing. She was no longer in the reality she had belonged to. Lina Garcia Gordo felt increasingly disconnected from the world she once knew. She had tried various ways to explain the strange changes in her life, but nothing made sense. She wondered if she had developed a memory disorder, but every medical test confirmed that she was perfectly healthy. One day, while searching online for similar experiences, Lina discovered that she was not alone. There were stories of others who had suddenly realized that their lives had changed without any logical explanation. Some remembered historical events that had never occurred, while others found that their family members or friends had different memories of the past. The more she researched, the more convinced she became that she had unknowingly stepped into a parallel reality, a version of the world that was slightly different from the one she had lived in before. She began experimenting with her daily routines, trying to find any clues that could help her determine if there was a way to return to her original reality. However, all her attempts were unsuccessful. Her anxiety deepened when she noticed that changes continued to occur. The people she once knew seemed to become more distant, and new memories, ones she didn't recall ever having, began to emerge in her mind. She felt as if she was slowly becoming a part of this world. But deep inside, she knew this wasn't where she belonged. Lina didn't know if she would ever find a way back, but one thing was clear. Her life had changed forever, and she had to find a way to cope with this new reality. Keeping track of the changes, Lina Garcia Gordo felt increasingly overwhelmed by the unexplainable changes in her life. Everything around her had subtle but noticeable differences. Streets she walked daily looked slightly different. Signs had changed colors or fonts, and even familiar people behaved strangely. At first, she tried to convince herself that it was just a trick of her memory. But as the strange occurrences continued, she could no longer ignore the feeling that she didn't belong in this world anymore. One day, when visiting her favorite cafe, she noticed that the barista, someone she used to chat with often, did not recognize her. Even the menu had items she had never seen before. These experiences prompted Lina to start documenting all the changes she noticed. She kept a journal, recording every small difference she observed daily. She also searched for others who might have gone through a similar phenomenon. Eventually, she discovered an online community of people who believed they had accidentally crossed into a different reality. Through conversations with these individuals, Lina became more convinced that she had been pulled into a parallel universe. Some people claimed to have found clues that helped them return to their original reality, while others had accepted their fate and built a new life. Lina faced a difficult choice. Should she continue searching for a way back to the world she believed was real, or should she embrace this new reality and adapt? No matter what she decided, she knew her life would never be the same again. Lina and the mystery of the parallel world. Lina Garcia Gordo continued her journey to uncover the mystery surrounding the strange changes in her life. She could no longer deny that the world around her was distinctly different from what she remembered. Everything, from the streets and signs to even familiar people, had subtle but noticeable changes. Feeling increasingly lost and confused, Lina decided to search for answers. She researched the phenomenon of parallel universes and discovered several scientific theories related to the concept. According to some theories, countless parallel realities might exist, where every decision a person makes creates a new branch of reality. This made her wonder, had she somehow been transported to a different timeline? One day, while reviewing her notes, Lina discovered a crucial detail. A small symbol she had once seen in a familiar place, but now seemed to be missing. She believed this could be an important clue that might lead her to some answers. With newfound determination, Lina decided to follow these signs to uncover the truth. Could she solve the mystery behind these changes? More importantly, would she ever find a way back to her own world?